Hey, what's up guys, it's DarkArmedDuelist, and today I'm doing some Harpie test hands. So I'm really excited for this one because this is a really good deck that's actually my fiance's favorite deck of all time, and is a really amazing deck to be able to summon out stuff like Harpie Conductor, and your copies of other cards like your copies of Harpie's Pet Phantasmal Dragon, which is an amazing monster that makes all of your Harpies untargetable from attacks or card effects, which is really amazing. So without further ado guys, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell notification, become part of the notification squad, and definitely check out that Patreon down in the description below. We have some awesome words, you guys, like getting a description for every single video, getting a signed card sent to the mail, or even getting requested deck profile and test hand, just like this one, every single month to our patrons. So, without further ado, let's get straight on into this. So again, this is a really awesome deck that basically is one of the most powerful Wing Beast decks next to Raid Raptors and Black Wings, but this one actually has waifus, which makes it even better. So it's a really fun deck that is actually one of the oldest archetypes in the entire game. If you guys are new to Yu-Gi-Oh! And watching this, this actually dates back all the way to the original, first 20 episodes of Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Monsters when the game first came out, because Harpie Lady is used by My Valentine in the original game, or the original show, which was printed in the second set of Yu-Gi-Oh! Ever, which is super cool to be able to say I'm playing a potentially 18-year-old deck, which is amazing. So let's get straight on into this and see what we can actually pull off and see what we can actually do with this deck. I've been playing this deck for a very long time because I wanted to learn how to play it because Savannah, my fiance, or Scorpio Senpai, loves this deck, and so I kind of learned through her playing the deck against me how to play it. And then she plays this deck religiously. If I ever duel her, this is the deck she picks up, kind of like how I pick up Black Wings and carry it with me. We both are Wing Beast players at heart, but I play everything. So let's go ahead and shuffle the deck, cut the deck really quick, and do a draw test hand and see actually what we can draw out of the deck. So we're going to go ahead and draw into a Channeler right off the bat. You always want to open up Channeler. Channeler is literally the OG card of the deck, and that's one you always want to have. Pet Dragon is not so much. You don't want to have this card in your hand, but you can discard it off the Channeler, so it's totally fine to draw it. It's the only Garnet of the deck. Hysteric Party is pretty good. Egotist is really good. And a copy of Hunting Ground. If you're going first, this is not the greatest to draw in a Hunting Ground, but drawing into the Channeler is really good because it can set you up with like a Baguska play, which is not bad. And you also had the Pet Dragon that you can discard to the graveyard and get rid of it. This is where the Harpie Scratch Clash would be really nice to be released already, because at this point you could set up kind of a negate board where you could have the copy of Channeler on the field, discard the copy of the Pet Dragon, special summon from deck a copy of Harpist, and then link Synchro, because you can treat one of them as a tuner, send them to the graveyard, and then immediately go off into a copy of Scratch Class, set your copy of Party, activate your copy of Hunting Ground, making it go up to 2,800, and then you have the Egotist that you can activate, special summon another Harpie on the field during the next turn, and you get to search off the graveyard, which would be another copy of Channeler. You're always searching Channeler and always using Channeler in every single hand, because you want to get Channeler to your hand as quickly as possible, because it's essentially a free Harpie summon from the deck for any Harpie that you want to grab, which is super cool. So let's go ahead and do one more draw hand. We're going to draw into a Hysteric Party, a copy of Hysteric Sign, Harpie's Dancer, Featherstorm, which is an insanely good card, and a Perfumer. This hand is not terrible at all, because you have the Perfumer that you can normal summon and then search a copy of Egotist from your deck to your hand, or Luring Mirror Split, whichever one you feel like you need. The Dancer is pretty nice as well, and the copy of Featherstorm is going to help you lock your opponent down. You can get a rank 4 play really easy because you can just normal summon out your copy of Perfumer, get your Egotist from deck, and then have another monster on your field, and then you can tag them together and summon Scratch Clash, or you can summon Conductor to your side of the field. It depends on which one you want to go for. We don't have Scratch Clash yet, but if you guys are watching this way in the future, in September, we're going to have Scratch Clash, and that would be a really optimal play anytime you get 2 Harpies on the field. But until then, you can do something really simple, like going in for a copy of something really simple, like a copy of your Smorg Link, which you could have gone for before to establish the lockdown, that if you can get 3 Harpies on your side of the field, which is pretty good too. I like that lockdown of getting the copy of, oh goodness, what's it called? The Barrier Statue. You can get the Barrier Statue on your side of the field and knock your opponent down to only special summoning Wind. So let's go ahead and draw one more test hand out of the deck and see what we can actually draw. So we're going to draw Egotist, which is pretty good. Double or Nothing, you don't want to open Double or Nothing. Apex Avian is also another brick. Featherstorm is another brick, and a copy. Ooh, Pet Dragon too. Ooh, that's bad. Okay, so let's go ahead and say that we're going second, and you draw on a Dancer, which would fix the entire hand because you can normal summon the Dancer, activate the Egotist, special summon another Harpie Lady 1 to your side of the field, and then you could overlay them or link them together for another play. So you have plays in your hand, and you can lock your opponent down with that, but opening up the Apex Avian and the Pet Dragon kind of sucks because you don't want to open up all of your bricks. Like, you play a couple of bricks in the deck, in my opinion, which to me, the bricks that you play in here is I don't want to open these. I don't want to open my Smorg targets, which these are the Smorg targets and the Union Carrier targets, and then you don't want to open Pet Dragon. So you kind of play 4 bricks in the deck, which kind of sucks, but at the same time, that's kind of why I want them to hit the Thunderbird, because if they hit Thunderbird, I am dropping Mist Valley, Apex Avian, and this as quickly as possible. I will still play the Barrier Statue, because Barrier Statue is not broken with the Smorg link. I just wish they'd hit the Mist Valley, because it's good in a lot of Wing Beast decks, and I don't like that it's that good and that splashable, to me. I just don't think it's a great combo piece. I think it's a little degenerate. So let's go ahead and shuffle the deck up and actually play through a test hand and see what we can pull off. So we're going to go ahead and cut that deck up really quick. Go ahead and get that card out of the way because I don't know what it is. Go ahead and mix that deck up and then draw. So we're going to go ahead and get a copy of Call by the Grave, Harpie Harpist, Queen, which is really good, a second Queen, and a Perfumer. So this is not bad. I'd probably go ahead right off the bat and discard my copy of Queen to grab my Hunting Ground from the deck. I just realized I'm not playing super rare Hunting Grounds, and I'm playing hollow everything else. That's really surprising to me. So now that we have that in our hand, we can, if normal summon out our copy of Perfumer. The Perfumer's effect will then trigger, and you can grab Alluring Mirror Split if you want to set up for the following turn. Or if you want to set up for another play, you can grab the Alluring Mirror Split. I would personally grab the copy of Egotist because the only targets that you really have is the Alluring Mirror Split, which I think I play as a 2 of, and you have 2 of the Egotist, which I would grab Egotist. And then you can immediately activate the Egotist and special summon from your deck a Harpie Lady 1. And then once you summon the Harpie Lady 1, you have a little bit more plays to go in for a rank 4 or a link play, depending on what you want. I would probably activate the Hunting Ground at this point, and you have the copy of the Call by the Grave that you could hit if they tried to Ash Blossom you. At this point, you have a couple of different plays you could go for. I would probably go for the Conductor, because if a Harpie monster you control would be destroyed by battle or by card effect, you can destroy Spell or Trap instead, which you could destroy the Hunting Ground to protect it at least once during your opponent's turn. Or you can go for a good rank 4 play, which would be something like your number 60, or you could even go for the Union Carrier if you want to go for the Union Carrier to set you up even more, which is another option. So it's not that bad of a hand. It's not great, but it wasn't bad. It would have been better if I could have got a third Harpie on my side of the field, because then I could have gone for the Smorg link and then gone off from there. And you always want to open Hysteric Party if you can open Party, because Party helps out the deck a lot more. You will be seeing these in a future live duel, because Savannah's going to play her version of Harpies, and it's going to be insane because she is insanely good with Harpies. And I'm really excited to show you guys what she can do with Harpies, because I don't think she's been in a live duel yet. So let's go ahead and draw. We draw into an Egotist, which is really good. Oracle, not bad. Hysteric Sign, or Hysteric Party, or a Call by the Grave, and a second Call by the Grave. Again, this is not great, because if you're going second, Harpies usually want to go second, so we're going to say we're going second. You're drawn to the Barrier Wind Statue. That's not great, but not bad, because you can do some really interesting plays where you can just normal summon out the Oracle, activate the copy of Egotist, special summon out the Harpie Lady 1, overlay these 2, and then do a simple play. You can do a very, very simple play where you go Utopia, Utopia double, detach the material when it's still just Utopia double, and then add from deck to hand the Double or Nothing, and then when you have the Double or Nothing in your hand, you swing at your opponent. By detaching the material, you negate the attack, drop the Double or Nothing, and then essentially OTK your opponent. I mean, there's simple plays. You have the Call by the Grave to stop your opponent in any time, and if they don't, you have the copy of the Hysteric Party that you can set to get 2 more Harpies back on the following turn to be able to go off again. So you have a little bit of recovery there. It's not, again, that's not a really good representation of how Harpies play, because they aren't swarming with that particular hand. That was kind of a little bit of a brick, because we drew one of our bricks that you don't want to see, but it's not, again, it's not terrible. I think Scratch Clash is really going to escalate the way that this deck plays, because with the plays that we've seen so far, getting 2 monsters on our side of the field, you can end with a Scratch Clash, and if your opponent activates a spell or trap, then it bounces a monster on the opponent's side of the field, or Harpie, which is still pretty good. So let's go ahead and shuffle this deck up again and see what we can actually draw out. So we're going to go ahead and draw into a copy of Harpie Lady 1, Channeler, now we're getting somewhere, the Barrier Statue, Perfumer, and a copy of a second Perfumer. So you have a good play right here, because you can make some really interesting plays. You can make a really good defensive play here by normal summoning out your Channeler, discarding the Harpie Lady 1, and then immediately special summoning from the deck a copy of your any Harpie monster. I usually like to summon out a copy of Harpist, but if I'm not going for a rank 4 play, I would probably go for my copy of Pet Dragon, because Pet Dragon is still a really good card to play as a 1-of in here, because at this point she becomes level 7 if you have a dragon monster on your side of the field, and you can do something like this, where you can actually set up to go for a Draco Sack, you can go for a Flare Metal, or you can go for a Big Eye to take your opponent's monster, which is still pretty good to go for any of these 3 XYZs, whichever one you feel like you want to. If I was going first, I would definitely drop the Draco Sack, because it would help me out a little bit more to drop the Draco Sack and then make the 2 tokens to be able to stop my opponent from doing all those different, it gives me more protection, essentially, to be able to put a Draco Sack in defense position and wall up while I'm waiting on my opponent to do their different shenanigans. And I have pops on my side of the field as well, which is really nice. So let's go ahead and do another test hand as well, because this deck is really fun to play around with, and it's really, really, really interesting because there's so many different ways to actually play the deck. So let's go ahead and draw, which we're going to get the Thunderbird, the Statue, Double or Nothing. We just drew 3 of our Garnets, Perfumer, and a copy of Channeler. But it's all saved because you drew the Channeler. So you can normal summon out the Channeler, use the copy of Channeler to discard Perfumer, because it just requires you to discard a Harpie monster. Special summon out your copy of your Harpist, and at this point you can overlay them and then go into a copy of, again, Double or Nothing, or the Utopia Double and Utopia, or you can link summon, which is probably the way that I would go about this. Or you can even do a different play where you go for a copy of, say, the Conductor and go off from there. But let's go ahead and actually show you guys a quick combo of the way the deck actually works, which is really cool. If you open up a copy of Channeler and Egotist, you're pretty much set, which is what you're usually trying to open up every time you're playing the game. I'm going to shuffle the deck and go ahead and throw those 2 in my hand and then draw any cards. It doesn't matter as long as I draw a Harpie. The Sign is good, the Lady is good, and the Dancer is good. If you open up a hand like this, you can get a really insane board rolling. Also, if you have a copy of the Hysteric Party, I'll show you the Hysteric Party play in a minute. What you actually can do with this particular field is normal summon out your Channeler and activate the Egotist. Egotist will then special summon Harpie Lady 1 from the deck, which we play 2 copies of in this particular build. I've been thinking about bumping it back to 3 because I like having the versatility of having 3, because you can keep rolling your Egotist over and over again. Once you have that field established, you can just activate the copy of your Channeler. Channeler will then trigger special summoning a Harpie from the deck, which I usually special summon out my copy of... I usually special summon out the copy of Harpist because I get a search, or you can actually special summon out the copy of Perfumer, because if you special summon out Perfumer, you'll get a search off of the Perfumer, which can be another Egotist, which will help out the deck just a little bit more, because Egotist is not a once per turn. You can then activate the copy of Egotist if you want to, and then special summon out a copy of Harpie Lady 1 if you had a third one, or you can actually do a really cool play, because we already have established a board. You can actually search out the copy of Alluring Mirror Split, because every time your Harpie is destroyed by battle, you could special summon a different Harpie, which is pretty good. So that's not bad at all to be able to go off. So we're going to go ahead and activate the copy of Alluring Mirror Split, and then now that you have these on your side of the field, you can link them away and then summon out your copy of your Smorglink monster. So once you summon out the Smorglink monster, you do have the ability to set this card on your side of the field. And once you have the Smorglink monster, when you end your turn, you can special summon out the copy of the Barrier Statue and lock your opponent into only special summoning monsters that are wind, which is pretty good. There's another combo in the deck where if you end with this board, but instead of having the Dancer in your hand, if you have a copy of something simple, like a copy of Hysteric Party, and then you pass turn, you can actually draw into your next turn and draw on a Harpist, discard the Harpist, and activate your copy of your Hysteric Party. And Hysteric Party is actually a really cool card that special summons back every single Harpie that you can from your graveyard. So it just massively fills up your board with all of your Harpie monsters that you can then overlay for Phantasmal if you want to overlay for Phantasmal. You can make Utopia double if you want to make Utopia double. You can link climb if you want to link climb. There's different ways to actually go off. You can make a field like this if you want to make something like this. You can keep those monsters on the field and start link climbing into an access code talker. You can actually play Borreload Savage, or you can play your copy of you can play something like Boral Sword if you want to play that. You can link climb with your Cerberus and your Phoenix to be able to get that card live. There's just a lot of different ways to actually play around with the Harpie deck, but you're really focused on the utility of how the cards actually work. This deck is a very grind-based deck to me, where you're playing cards, especially with Alluring Mirror Split now and Hysteric Party. It's about the grind game with Harpies. It's less about the first turn establishment. It's about how you're establishing your board going into turn 3, turn 4. So we're going to go ahead and draw into our next test hand, which is a copy, 2 copies of Egotist, which is not terrible, Channeler, which is really good, a copy of Harpist, and a copy of Hunting Ground. So this is not bad at all, because you can normal summon out your copy of Channeler, and then activate your copy of Egotist, and then special summon from your deck, which is going to be a really neat play, to special summon out your copy of Perfumer. So I'm actually going to show you how you can get this really cool board established, and then that's going to add your copy of Mirror Split to your hand. The Mirror Split will then activate to your side of the field that if this card you control is destroyed by a Harpie card effect, you can target one Harpie monster in your graveyard and special summon it. Keep that in mind. That's a really cool effect. So we're going to activate Hunting Ground, and once you activate the Hunting Ground, you can actually discard the copy of your, you can actually hold the Hunting Ground, use the effect of your Channeler to special summon out a Harpie from the deck, which can be any Harpie that you want. You can special summon anything you want. You'll have to search, say this was special summoned off this, say this was special summoned off the copy of your Channeler. Then activate the copy of Elegant Egotist now, and then you special summon from your deck your copy of Harpie Lady 1 off the Egotist, because you can only special summon Harpie Lady 1 off the Egotist, because it counts as Harpie Lady everywhere. You then can hold the second Egotist, activate the copy of Hunting Ground now, activate the second copy of Egotist because it's not once per turn, and special summon out your second copy of Harpie Lady 1 to your side of the field, which then will trigger your copy of Hunting Ground to pop your Alluring Mirror Split. I'm going to show you how to make an infinite negate with this. You can pop your Alluring Mirror Split, which special summons back your Harpie's Harpist. You then link summon these 3 together, summoning out your copy of Smorg, and then link these 2 together to summon out your copy of Union Carrier, which then you can activate the copy of Union Carrier's effect to special summon out. We're going to get that out on the field as well. You're going to use the effect of Union Carrier to actually special summon out from the deck, or attach from the deck to a monster, which could be the Smorg, the copy of the Thunderbird, and then in phase, you can special summon the Apex Avian if you're going first, and then you will essentially establish a infinite negate. Now you might be wondering how this is an infinite negate. Well, the effect of this is not once per turn, it's once per chain, which is insane. And so what you do is since this is a Thunderbird that's a Miss Valley on your side of the field, you return it to the hand, and then it'll trigger special summoning it. You negate something again, returns to hand, special summons. Negate again, returns to hand, special summons. So you essentially get infinite negates of monster effects, because you can target a Miss Valley you control, return it to the hand when a card or effect is activated. So you basically establish this board and you win, because you just keep special summoning your Thunderbird to negate every single card, which is why I think they're going to hit Thunderbird on the next list. So that's basically how you play Harpies. It's really interesting how you actually play the deck. It's super cool to actually play around with Harpies, because you get all these weird boards that you can get like that's really insane. You do, because you play 4 bricks in the deck, sometimes you will draw them, and it sucks when you do, as we've seen in this video. But if you open up Channeler and any other Harpie, you should be fine. But the main one that I usually want to summon off of the Channeler is if you normal summon out the Channeler and you use her effect to discard a card and then special summon another Harpie from the deck, and you special summon out the Perfumer, you essentially get 3 Harpies on your side of the field because you can add from deck to hand the copy of your Elegant Egotist, and then it gets you another Harpie Lady 1 on your side of the field. So you essentially get 3 monsters for the price of 1 and a discard, which if you discard a Harpist, you're going to get a search at the end phase too. So that's pretty much how the deck plays, guys. I hope you did enjoy it. It's a really fun deck to play around with. I think it's going to be insane. I wanted to do one of these before Scratch Clash, and then I'm going to do another one when Scratch Clash comes out because I think it's going to make the deck insanely good. And it's going to be really, really fun to play around with. But anyways, guys, this is DarkArmedDuelist. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. Tell me what you think of this deck down in the comments down below. You can check out the deck profile down in the description below. And we'll see you guys in the next video. See you later, guys. And don't forget to check out the Patreon and hit that bell down there so you can become part of the notification squad. See you later, guys.